There is something most people over 60 do within the first 30 seconds of waking up every single morning, something so ordinary, so automatic, that you probably did it today without a single thought, and according to cardiovascular research, it may be quietly loading the gun on a cardiac event that no one, not your doctor, not your cardiologist, has likely ever warned you about. I'm not talking about skipping your medication. I'm not talking about what you eat for breakfast. This happens before your feet even touch the floor. And the most remarkable part? The fix costs nothing, takes less than 2 minutes, and research suggests it can dramatically reduce your risk of a serious cardiac event during the most dangerous window of your entire day. Stay with me through this video, because by the end you'll understand exactly what your heart goes through the moment your alarm sounds, and you'll have a simple, completely free morning protocol that could be the most important routine change you make this year. My name is Dr. George. I've spent more than 2 decades in cardiovascular medicine, and I have watched the same tragic, preventable sequence unfold more times than I care to count. Patients who did everything right, took their medications, walked regularly, saw their doctor, and still ended up in front of me on a Tuesday morning. Today, I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. Before I walk you through the science, I want to mention something that connects directly to what we're about to discuss. So much of what protects your heart, especially after 60, comes down to what you put in your body and how you treat it each morning, if you're looking for a practical, food-based companion to go alongside everything in this video. There is an audiobook called The Senior Superfood Blueprint that walks you through 21 specific foods proven to reduce inflammation, support muscle strength, and keep your cardiovascular system working the way it should. It even comes with a free printable 7-day kickstart plan and a shopping list you can use this week. The link is in the description below. Now let's get into the science, because what I'm about to show you about what happens inside your body every morning may genuinely surprise you. To understand the danger, you first need to understand what your body is doing while you sleep, and more importantly, what it does the moment it starts waking up. While you're asleep, your heart runs in a kind of quiet, low-demand mode. Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure dips, your nervous system settles. It's the only real rest your cardiovascular system gets in a full 24-hour period. But here's what most people never know. The moment your brain begins stirring, even before your alarm goes off, even before your eyes open, your body begins flooding your bloodstream with 2 hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that cortisol begins rising in the early morning hours as part of the body's natural preparation for waking. And a long-term study from the American Heart Association found that people with consistently elevated cortisol levels faced a dramatically higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those with lower levels. In older adults, that cortisol surge is especially impactful because it arrives in a body that is already working with stiffer arteries and a slower reflexive response. Those 2 hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, do something very specific and very rapid to your heart. Your heart rate jumps, your blood pressure rises, your blood vessels constrict. All of it happens in a matter of seconds. When you were in your 30s or 40 seconds, your cardiovascular system absorbed that wave without much trouble. The artery walls were elastic, the whole system adapted quickly. But the American Heart Association's latest data shows that cardiovascular disease affects roughly 75% of adults between the ages of 60 and 79. And one of the key reasons is that aging arteries are stiffer. The hormonal surge that once passed through smoothly now hits walls that don't flex the way they used to. And in many people who feel completely fine, people who have clean checkups, there is plaque sitting silently inside those vessels. Plaque they have no idea is there. About 1 in 5 heart attacks are silent. The damage is done, but the person is not aware of it. That means the cardiovascular system can be in far more fragile territory than your last doctor's visit suggested. When that hormonal wave hits a vessel wall carrying vulnerable plaque, the force can crack it. A crack triggers clotting. A clot in a coronary artery is a heart attack. A clot in a cerebral artery is a stroke. This isn't a worst-case scenario, this is the mechanism. This is why studies published in the American Heart Journal show that heart attacks are significantly more likely to occur in the early morning hours than at any other time of day. It is not random. It is predictable, well-documented biology. And what you do in the 25 to 30 seconds after your alarm goes off either helps your heart navigate that surge or tips it over the edge. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Margaret. Margaret was 71 years old, a retired nurse, which makes this story particularly meaningful. Disciplined about her health, consistent with her blood pressure medication, and faithful to her morning walks. Her most recent cardiology visit had been unremarkable. Her doctor told her she was doing well for her age. One morning, Margaret woke up at her usual time, silenced her alarm, swung her legs off the bed, and stood up. She made it about 4 steps toward the bathroom before her husband found her on the floor. When I reviewed Margaret's case afterward, her cardiovascular profile was reasonable, her medications were appropriate, her fitness was above average. But no one, not once, in all those years of medical care had ever talked to her about the first 30 seconds of her morning. Here is the habit, the specific, completely ordinary, utterly overlooked thing that can quietly overload a heart that is already under stress. They stand up immediately. Alarm goes off, and within 3 seconds, they are fully vertical. It feels like nothing. It looks like nothing for a heart over 60 that is already contending. With a cortisol surge and stiffer arteries, it can be one of the most dangerous things you do all day. Here is the science behind it. When you are lying flat, blood is distributed relatively evenly throughout your body. The moment you stand, gravity pulls a significant volume of that blood downward toward your legs and your abdomen. Your heart has to respond instantly to maintain adequate circulation to your brain. In a younger person, that reflex is fast and precise. The blood vessels constrict quickly, the heart rate adjusts, pressure is maintained in seconds. But orthostatic hypotension, the sudden drop in blood pressure upon standing, affects approximately 20% of adults aged 60 and older, compared to just 5% of middle-aged adults. And orthostatic hypotension is associated with up to a 50% increase in relative risk of all-cause mortality. You may know it as that gray, dizzy, momentarily foggy feeling when you first stand up in the morning. Many people over 60 experience it and dismiss it as normal aging. It is not normal. It is a warning signal from your cardiovascular system, and postural hypotension happens more frequently and with more severe symptoms in the morning because blood pressure is normally at its lowest when you first wake up. When blood pressure drops suddenly after standing, the heart responds by trying to compensate, spiking its rate and output to restore circulation. In a heart that is already contending with the morning cortisol surge, already working against thicker blood and stiffer vessels, that compensatory spike can trigger an arrhythmia. In the worst cases, it can crack already vulnerable plaque. The 25-second mistake costs nothing to fix, and yet almost no one has ever been told about it. There is a second reason the morning is uniquely dangerous, and this one surprises almost everyone I tell it to. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, you are dehydrated every single morning, without exception. You have not had a drop of water all night. You've been breathing steadily for hours, and each breath loses moisture. The result is that by the time your alarm sounds, your blood is measurably thicker and more viscous than it was when you fell asleep. Think of your heart as a pump and your blood vessels as the pipes that carry fluid through your body. When the fluid is thin and free-flowing, the pump works easily. When the fluid thickens, every single beat requires more effort, and thicker blood doesn't just increase the workload, it clots more readily. Research has consistently found that clotting factors are at their highest activity levels in the early morning hours. This is one of the primary reasons that cardiovascular events cluster so heavily in the window from roughly 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning. It's not coincidence, it is the convergence of the hormonal surge, thicker blood, and stiffer vessels arriving at the same moment, a triple threat for any heart over 60. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. A glass of water, room temperature, before anything else, before your coffee, before your medication, before you check your phone. 1 glass of water, taken before your feet touch the floor, begins thinning the blood, reducing clotting risk, and giving your cardiovascular system something to work with before the full demands of the day begin. That 1 glass of water is also the protective habit that research has linked to meaningfully reduced early morning cardiac event risk in adults over 60. It costs nothing. It takes 20 seconds, and almost no one does it consistently. Quick question for you right now. Do you keep a glass of water on your nightstand? Write yes or no in the comments. I read every single one, and the pattern in those answers tells me more about who is actually being reached with this information than anything else. Here's something that fits perfectly with what we just covered. Hydration is just the beginning of what your cardiovascular system needs each morning. What you eat consistently day after day either helps your heart manage inflammation and stress, or it adds to the burden. The Senior Superfood Blueprint audiobook goes deep on this. It covers 21 specific foods that reduce chronic inflammation, support the muscles your cardiovascular system depends on, and keep your energy steady so your body isn't fighting uphill every day. There's an entire chapter on anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric, fatty fish, and walnuts, the exact kinds of foods that support healthier blood, healthier vessels, and a calmer cardiovascular system over time. If this feels like information you want to act on, the link is in the description. Now let's finish with your complete morning protocol. Now that you understand the danger, the solution is straightforward. I call it the 90-second heart protocol. No equipment, no cost, nothing to purchase. Just a sequence that takes about 90 seconds and gives your heart the best possible start every single morning. The moment your alarm goes off, stay exactly where you are. Before you reach for your phone, before you pull back the covers, take 3 slow, deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, fully and deliberately. This single action activates what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, the calming, restorative branch of your nervous system. It begins to counteract the cortisol and adrenaline surge before it peaks. Cleveland Clinic notes that controlled breathing directly stimulates the parasympathetic system and helps lower cortisol levels. And this happens in real time, right when your heart needs it most. 3 breaths, 15 seconds. One of the most powerful cardiovascular tools available, and it is completely free. Tonight, before you go to sleep, put a full glass of room temperature water on your nightstand. Tomorrow morning, after your 3 breaths, drink it, the whole glass, before your feet touch the floor. You now understand why. Thin the blood, reduce the clotting risk. Give the pump better fluid before the day begins. This is non-negotiable. Roll to your side, push yourself up slowly, sit on the edge of the bed with your feet hanging off. Don't rush. Now rotate your ankles slow circles, 5 times in each direction. This activates the calf muscle pump, which pushes blood that has pooled in your lower legs back up toward your heart. It gradually restores blood pressure from the bottom up, which is exactly the gentle ramp your cardiovascular system needs. Sit for a full 30 seconds, then rise slowly, press through your legs. Stand still for 10 seconds before you take your first step. That is the complete protocol. 3 breaths, 1 glass of water. Sit before you stand, 90 seconds total, starting tomorrow morning. If you are currently taking a diuretic, a water pill for blood pressure or heart conditions, there is one additional thing I need you to hear. Diuretics work by flushing excess fluid from the body through the kidneys. They are effective and widely used. But when the kidneys flush fluid, they also flush magnesium, and magnesium is the mineral that regulates the electrical signals controlling your heartbeat. When magnesium levels drop quietly over time, which happens in a significant number of people on long-term diuretics, the heart can become electrically unstable, palpitations, erratic rhythm, arrhythmia, and it tends to surface hardest in the morning, precisely when the heart is already under the greatest stress. At your next appointment, ask your doctor to check your magnesium level. It's a simple blood test. That information could be genuinely important for your heart's stability. Let me bring this all together for you. The morning is the most dangerous window of the day for your heart after 60. Cortisol and adrenaline rise before you're fully awake. Your blood is at its thickest. Your arteries are at their stiffest, and the habit of standing up immediately, something the vast majority of people do without thinking, adds a sudden pressure drop that forces an already stressed heart to compensate aggressively. According to the 2025 American Heart Association statistics, someone in the United States dies of cardiovascular disease every 34 seconds. Many of those deaths happen in the morning window, and many of them are preventable. Margaret, by the way, recovered well. In the weeks after her event, we made a single change before she went home. Glass of water on the nightstand, 3 breaths, sitting on the edge of the bed before she stood. 6 months later, her morning blood pressure readings had stabilized significantly. The dizziness she had always dismissed as normal gone. Her daughter asked me in the corridor afterward, "Why didn't anyone tell us this before?" I didn't have a satisfying answer. The research exists. The information exists. It simply needs to reach the right people before the morning it matters most. You are that person, and now you have it. Start tonight by placing that glass of water on your nightstand. Just that one thing. The rest will follow. If this video gave you something useful, I want to leave you with one more resource that I genuinely believe can complement everything we've talked about today. The Senior Superfood Blueprint audiobook is built for exactly this stage of life. It gives you 21 foods you can start using this week to fight inflammation, build the leg strength that supports your balance and independence, and keep your energy steady through the day. It comes with a free printable guide, a weekly shopping list, and a simple 7-day meal plan you can follow without stress or strict rules. No counting calories, just real foods, practical steps, and changes you can actually stick with. Think of it as the nutritional side of everything we've covered here today. The link is in the description. I hope you'll check it out. And if this video helped you, please share it with someone you love. There is someone in your life who wakes up every morning doing exactly what Margaret did, and this might be the thing that reaches them before the morning it matters most. Take care of your heart. It has been working for you every single minute of every day without asking for a thing in return. Give it 90 good seconds tomorrow morning. It is more than a fair trade. Disclaimer: everything shared in this video is general medical information based on published research and clinical experience. It is not a substitute for your personal medical care. Before making any changes to your medications, exercise habits, or morning routine, please speak with your own physician first. They know your full history. Bring this information to that conversation. That is exactly where good medicine begins.